Artists. Today we learned about Trek Bicycle and talked a little bit about using a viewfinder to create a composition. Now you're going to find at your tables a few different reference images for some different kind of Trek bicycles. A reference image is a tool that we would use to reference as we're going to be drawing. So I could look at this as I'm drawing and kind of get the idea for shape. At the drive-thru, you're going to need to get a sketch paper. I'm going to ask that you do 3 sketches of the Trek bicycle. The 4th one is just there for extra. You're also going to need to get a viewfinder. This viewfinder will help you create a composition using that reference image. So at your table, what you're going to need is a pencil. You're going to write your name and class code, Mrs. C, your class code. And you can kind of experiment with the orientation of your paper, whether you want it to be vertical or horizontal. We're imagining that each of these boxes is a different paper. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different little papers for you to draw on. Now choose a bicycle that you would like to start with. I think I'm going to start with this blue electric bike. Using your viewfinder, create a composition, how the shapes and the lines are arranged within that page. Kind of thinking about what looks most interesting. So I could have just the picture of the wheel, or I could move that reference image so I include the wheel and maybe something else. All right, so I'm going to include part of the wheel and a little bit of that Trek logo there. I think that will look cool. Now I'm just going to sketch these out. These are called thumbnail sketches. These aren't perfect little drawings. They're just a way for my eye and my hand to warm up. So how space comes in is how the viewfinder is filled with space, right? How these objects fit in there. Also, when I'm looking at these different objects, where do they fit in on my paper? So I'm going to start with this wheel. If I look at my viewfinder, I notice the wheel starts a little bit a ways from the corner. I can see that right here. So I'm going to go to my first box and the wheel is going to start a little ways away from my corner. I'm going to make a mark, and that's going to kind of help me plan out where does this circle need to go. The circle goes all the way up really close to the top edge. So I'm going to go up really close to the top edge and make another little mark. This is a good trick to use when you're planning things out using a viewfinder. All right, the wheel is then going to touch pretty close to that top corner. All right, here I go. I'm going to try to connect these dashes to make a circle. And you're going to notice I draw really, really light. And I'm probably not going to nail it the first time, but that's okay. I'll keep sketching and I'll get it eventually. All right, so that's the outside edge of my wheel. Now I know a wheel has an inside edge, so I'm going to draw a repeating line that follows that wheel on the inside. All right, the next thing that I'm going to look at is the inside little sprocket. So I'm going to continue doing this, just following along, looking for shapes and lines, and referencing where do they fit in the space of this little viewfinder. How does that viewfinder translate to the little space of my sketch? Working back and forth, checking my reference image and drawing. Checking my reference image and drawing. Now you have 4 of these little boxes because the first time you might notice, oh man, I'm not so good at using a reference image to draw. That's okay. A lot of times artists use this as a way to just kind of warm up. So you're not going to probably do super well on that first sketch, but don't give up. Keep trying. This is just a warm up or a practice. All right, there's my first kind of little sketch, a little thumbnail of my bicycle. Okay, so I have 3 more that I need to do and 1 that's extra choice. So I'm going to move my viewfinder and find another space. So you need to create 3 little thumbnail sketches or 3 little drawings of a bike. You could change the bike if you would want. My challenge to you is to somehow create an interesting composition for every single thumbnail. Whether it's a little bit of the bike and pedal, a little bit of the handlebar and the bike wheel. See what you can create using that viewfinder and some of these cool Trek bicycles.